We are counting down the 15 most effective vegetable gardening hacks every beginner needs to know, backed by real science and simple enough to try this season. From smarter watering methods and natural pest solutions to easy ways to double your harvest, these tricks can transform weak plants into thriving, productive beds. Some may surprise even experienced gardeners. Which hack makes the biggest difference in your backyard? Let us start our countdown with number 15. Deep watering changes the way vegetable roots grow. Instead of sprinkling a little water every day, soak the soil until moisture reaches 8 to 12 inches deep, usually about 1 inch of water per week. This method encourages roots to reach down 2 or even 3 feet, making plants much more resilient during dry spells. Tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers thrive with this approach. Use a soaker hose, a slow drip bucket, or simply water at the base until the soil is soaked. To check your progress, stick your finger or a probe into the ground. If it is dry below 4 inches, it is time to water again. Studies show deep watering cuts wilting in half and grows roots up to 3 times deeper than shallow watering. Strong, deep roots mean healthier, sturdier plants all season long. A thick layer of mulch acts like a protective blanket for your soil. Spread 2 to 4 inches of organic material like straw or wood chips across the surface after planting, and leave a 2-inch gap around each plant stem to prevent rot. This simple barrier cuts moisture loss by up to 70%, so you will water half as often, even during hot spells. Mulch also blocks sunlight from reaching weed seeds, making it much harder for them to sprout. All vegetables benefit, but crops such as squash and beans especially thrive with steady moisture under mulch. For best results, avoid thin layers that dry out quickly and avoid piling mulch against stems. Apply mulch after planting and refresh the layer as needed during the growing season. Tools are simple. A rake or pitchfork and a wheelbarrow are enough. Common mistakes are using too little mulch, pushing it against stems, or using fresh sawdust that can temporarily tie up nitrogen. Gardeners in dry regions have relied on this method for decades, saving time on weeding and keeping their soil cool and damp through the hottest months. Crushed eggshells and wood ash offer a simple, low-cost way to boost minerals in your vegetable garden. Use them when your soil lacks calcium or potassium, and when you want a natural option, gardeners can reuse from the kitchen and fireplace. When tomatoes or peppers start showing dark, sunken spots at the blossom end, that usually signals calcium deficiency known as blossom end rot. For eggshells, rinse and dry the shells, then crush or grind them until they are a fine powder. Mix 1 to 2 tablespoons of that powder into each planting hole at transplant time. The calcium releases slowly over several months, so eggshells help prevent problems long-term, but do not fix severe deficiencies immediately. For faster correction, combine eggshells with consistent deep watering or a foliar calcium spray. Use wood ash sparingly. A small handful per 10 square feet adds potassium and can gently raise soil pH. Too much ash can swing soil alkaline and lock up other nutrients. Always test your soil first, and avoid adding ash if your pH is already above 7. Common mistakes include leaving shells too coarse, skipping the rinse, piling ash in one spot, and over-applying ash. Do not rely on eggshells alone to cure active blossom end rot. Retest soil each season to track changes. This approach benefits tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, and brassicas most. Tomatoes and peppers see the biggest reduction in blossom end rot when calcium and consistent watering are combined. Tools and timing are simple. You will need a rolling pin or mortar and pestle for crushing, a sieve to get a fine powder, gloves, and a basic soil test kit. Add eggshell powder at planting or top dress in spring. Apply wood ash sparingly in the fall or after the last frost in cool climates. Expect gradual improvements over months, not overnight. A neighbor in a hot, dry garden combined crushed eggshells with deeper watering and cut blossom end rot nearly in half within 1 season. Used carefully, these kitchen and fireplace leftovers help grow stronger, healthier crops without breaking the bank. Before we move on, take a moment to subscribe if you enjoy learning these forgotten gardening skills. When you subscribe, you help this channel grow, and you make it possible for us to keep producing videos that help you garden smarter every season. Certain plants protect each other simply by growing side by side. Marigolds, for example, release a natural chemical from their roots that confuses root knot nematodes, a microscopic worm that can devastate tomato crops. Planting marigolds around tomatoes has been shown to cut nematode damage and reduce pest pressure by up to 50%. That simple, natural trick helps tomatoes become more resilient. Another classic pairing is the Three Sisters method, which dates back over 1,000 years to Native American growers. In this system, corn, beans, and squash are planted together. The corn grows tall and acts as a living pole for beans to climb. Beans fix nitrogen in the soil, feeding both the corn and the squash. The broad squash leaves spread out, shading the ground to keep weeds down and moisture in. Studies show these combinations not only lower pest numbers, but also improve yields naturally, with no chemicals required. Simple pairings like these set the stage for healthier gardens season after season. Tomato plants left sprawling on the ground often suffer from rot and tangled stems, but a simple support system changes everything. Cages, sturdy stakes, or trellises lift fruit off damp soil and keep branches upright, which boosts airflow and cuts down on diseases like blight. Research shows that supported tomato plants can deliver up to 30% more fruit than unsupported plants. The reason is both practical and scientific. Lifting fruit improves airflow, reduces contact with wet soil, and lowers humidity around leaves. That reduction in moisture and debris helps prevent fungal infections, and it lets the plant put energy into fruit instead of healing wounds. Install supports at planting time. Waiting until plants are already large risks, snapping roots and damaging stems. Drive a stake or set a cage into the soil before you place the seedling and anchor it deeply so it will not lean as the plant grows. Tie stems loosely with soft twine or cloth strips as they grow, or use plastic tomato clips. Avoid tying stems too tightly, which can bruise or restrict them as they thicken. Common mistakes include using weak stakes, placing supports too late, and wrapping ties so tightly that the stem is constricted. Choose materials that match the variety and the site. Heavy gauge wire cages work well for many garden tomatoes. 2-inch diameter wooden stakes are simple and effective for single stem plants. A string trellis strung between 2 posts is a lightweight option for indeterminate vines. For tall, vining varieties, plan for taller supports, and for bushier varieties, smaller cages will do. In windy sites, use heavier posts and guy ties to stabilize the structure. Which vegetables benefit most? Tomatoes of all kinds respond well, and vining beans, peas, and cucumbers also get cleaner fruit and higher yields when lifted. In hot, humid climates, keeping fruit off the soil is especially important to prevent rot. A quick micro story. A gardener in a humid region switched to cages at planting, and by the end of the season had noticeably cleaner tomatoes and a heavier harvest. Start small, pick one reliable support method, and install it at planting. With supports in place from day one, tomatoes grow straighter, stay healthier, and reward you with bigger, cleaner harvests. Seedlings grown from seed can be fragile, but the way you water them makes a big difference. Instead of pouring water over the top, set your seedling trays or pots into a shallow pan of water for 10 to 20 minutes. The soil draws up moisture from below, encouraging roots to grow downward and preventing the soggy stems that cause damping off disease. This encourages stronger roots and sturdier stems. Studies comparing top watering and bottom watering show that seedlings watered from below develop root systems up to 40% stronger. This method also keeps leaves dry, which lowers the risk of fungal problems. Watch for signs of oversoaking. If leaves start to yellow or soil stays wet for hours, lift trays out sooner next time. Lettuce, peppers, and tomatoes all benefit from this approach, producing sturdier, transplant-ready plants. For best results, bottom water every few days, letting the surface dry slightly between soakings. Strong seedlings mean healthier vegetables all season. Pruning is the secret behind heavy tomato and pepper harvests. By pinching off small shoots called suckers that sprout between the main stem and branches, you help the plant send more energy into fruit instead of extra leaves. The best time to start is after the second set of true leaves appears. Use your fingers to snap off suckers while they are still small and soft, and do this once a week through the growing season. It takes just a minute, but studies show this simple habit can boost yields by 20 to 30%. Pruning also improves airflow, which means less disease pressure. In 2014, a market gardener in Georgia faced late blight sweeping through local tomato crops. By pruning weekly and spraying with copper soap, she saved 70% of her harvest while neighbors lost half their fields. Avoid over-pruning though. Leave the main branches and never strip away all the leaves, or plants can sunburn and stall. With regular care, tomatoes and peppers stay focused on making big, healthy fruit. Compost tea delivers a living boost to your vegetable beds without relying on synthetic fertilizers. by brewing mature, well-sieved compost in a 5-gallon bucket with an aquarium air stone and a tablespoon of unsulfured molasses, you create a bubbling bath that extracts billions of beneficial microbes, tiny helpers that support root growth and disease resistance. The process takes 24 to 36 hours. Any longer, and the tea can go anaerobic, which risks harmful bacteria. A sweet, earthy smell means it is safe and full of life. Strain the tea and dilute it, 1 part tea to 10 parts water, then drench the soil around your plants within 6 hours for the best results. Leafy greens, tomatoes, and peppers respond with faster, stronger growth, as shown in Rodale Institute trials, with 15 to 25% bigger yields. Always use compost that has been heated to at least 131 degrees for 3 days to kill pathogens. Skip the brew if it smells sour or rotten. Put simply, trust smell and safety over impatience. With regular use, compost tea builds up soil biology, prepping your garden for dense, productive planting. Dividing your garden into 1 foot by 1 foot squares transforms even the tiniest plot into a powerhouse of productivity. Instead of planting in long rows, lay down a simple grid using string, sticks, or even your finger in the soil. Each square becomes its own mini garden, and spacing is based on the mature size of each vegetable. For carrots, you can fit 16 in a single square foot. Larger plants like tomatoes need more room, so give them 4 squares each. That is 1 plant per 4 square feet. This method is not just about neatness. Studies show square-foot gardens can yield up to twice as much food as traditional row planting, especially in raised beds or small backyards. In one city, an urban gardener harvested 150 pounds of produce from just 100 square feet. That harvest was enough to supply a local food bank and to inspire neighbors to start their own grids. With precise spacing, every inch of soil gets used, weeds have less room to grow, and maintenance becomes a breeze. To apply this method, mark your bed into 1 foot by 1 foot squares, check the mature spacing listed on your seed packets, and plant accordingly. A common mistake is crowding seedlings in hopes of more plants, which weakens roots and reduces yields. This approach works especially well for carrots, lettuce, radishes, bush beans, and even tomatoes and peppers when you give the larger plants multiple squares. A thick layer of newspaper or cardboard can transform a weedy patch into a ready-to-plant garden bed almost overnight. This is a simple no-dig method that blocks light, holds moisture, and saves you hours of weeding. Aphids and slugs can wipe out tender seedlings almost overnight. Simple homemade solutions offer quick relief. For soft-bodied insects like aphids or whiteflies, mix 1 tablespoon of mild liquid soap into a quart of water. Shake well and spray directly onto the pests, coating both sides of the leaves. The soap breaks down their protective coating, suffocating them from 24 to 72 hours. Repeat every few days as needed, especially after rain. For slugs, set a shallow dish of beer or use a mixture of yeast, sugar, and water to lure them in overnight. The scent draws slugs and they drown in the trap, sparing your lettuce and strawberries. Place traps at soil level and empty them each morning. Both methods use common kitchen items, avoid harsh chemicals, and show visible results in days. With these fast-acting, low-cost tricks, your crops stay protected and ready for the next challenge, like heat waves or sudden weather swings. Shade cloth can mean the difference between a thriving garden and a total wipeout when temperatures soar. During a heat wave, even a few hours of intense sun can send cool season crops like lettuce or spinach into a tailspin, causing leaves to wilt, bolt, or burn. A 30 to 50% shade cloth, draped over simple hoops or stakes, drops leaf temperatures by 5 to 8 degrees Celsius, enough to keep plants photosynthesizing and prevent heat stress. In the Pacific Northwest's 2021 record heat, gardeners who covered their lettuce beds with light fabric saw every plant survive, while nearby unshaded plots lost over half their crop. The key is choosing the right density. 30 to 40% works for tomatoes and peppers, while delicate greens need up to 50%. Attach cloth loosely above the canopy, leaving space for air to circulate. Put it up when forecasts call for highs above 32 degrees Celsius, and remove it as soon as the heat breaks. This simple step protects flavor, texture, and yield, especially as summers get hotter each year. Picking vegetables at their peak is not just about looks, it is the difference between bland and bursting with flavor. A tomato left to ripen fully on the vine develops sugars up to 20% higher than one picked early and ripened indoors. That is why the deepest reds, oranges, or yellows signal maximum sweetness and nutrition. Peppers turn from green to vivid red or yellow when their vitamin content and flavor are at their highest. Beans and cucumbers should be harvested young and often, every 2 to 3 days, so plants keep producing new pods instead of slowing down. For leafy greens, cut outer leaves once they reach full size, but before they get tough or start to bolt. Regular picking not only gives you better tasting food, but it also encourages the plant to keep growing and setting more fruit. Watch for signs like glossy skin, firm texture, and full color. If you wait too long, many vegetables turn starchy or bitter. The right timing means more harvests, richer taste, and healthier plants all season. Even a small garden can deliver a steady supply if you harvest at just the right moment, turning every meal into a celebration of fresh flavor. Planting depth can make or break your vegetable harvest. Tomatoes are the classic example. Bury the stem right up to the first set of leaves, whether you set them straight down or lay them sideways in a trench. Within 10 to 14 days, new adventitious roots will sprout along the buried stem, anchoring the plant and letting it draw water from deeper in the soil. This simple move arms tomatoes against drought and delivers bigger, sturdier plants all season. Peppers, on the other hand, should only be planted as deep as they grew in their pots. Burying them too far risks stem rot. For seeds, the rules flip. Lettuce needs light to germinate. Scatter the seeds on the surface and press them in gently, but do not cover them with soil. Burying lettuce even a 1/4 inch too deep can cut germination by more than half. Radishes, basil, and other tiny seeds follow the same rule. Surface sowing or a dusting of fine soil is usually enough. Deep-rooted crops like carrots or beans can handle a bit more depth, but always check the seed packet for guidance. Matching the right depth to each crop means stronger starts and fewer early failures, and it sets up your garden for a healthy, productive season. Healthy soil is the engine behind every productive vegetable garden, and the most reliable way to build it does not come from a bag. Each year, spreading a 2-inch layer of finished compost over every bed feeds the underground world of microbes and earthworms. This living network breaks down organic matter, releasing nutrients right where roots need them. Studies show gardens that follow this routine can boost organic matter by up to 1% each season, leading to harvests 25% larger and soil that holds moisture twice as long. But compost alone is not enough for lasting fertility. Rotating your crops, never planting the same vegetable family in the same spot for 2 years running, breaks pest and disease cycles that can wipe out entire beds. For example, follow tomatoes with beans, then leafy greens, before returning to tomatoes in the 4th year. This simple pattern keeps soil balanced and reduces the need for chemical treatments. During the off-season, sowing cover crops like clover or winter ryelox in nutrients and prevents erosion. When turned under in spring, these plants act as a natural fertilizer, steadily releasing nitrogen as they decompose. Over 3 years, gardeners who add compost, rotate crops, and use cover crops report cutting fertilizer costs by 70% while yields climb season after season. A multi-year plan like this transforms tired, compacted dirt into dark, crumbly soil that grows stronger vegetables with less work. Every hack in this series, from deep watering to smart spacing, rests on this foundation. When you invest in your soil, your garden pays you back for years to come. Across all 15 hacks, one truth stands out. Thriving vegetable gardens are not about expensive gear. They are built on practical habits and nature's own logic. Every healthy harvest proves that small, science-backed tweaks make the biggest difference. Today, anyone can turn limited space and simple tools into real abundance. That is the power of understanding your garden, not just working in it. What is your favorite hack? Let us know in the comments below.